paille, quoi bouillon, quoi coup de poing, mi bouton levé, la souille qu'on s'étoile. Lingue, la la la, sama, mamale, sama, mamale, mes enfants qui disent maman bien levé. Lingue, la la la, sama, mamale, moron, coi tombe, toi cassé, mes
Greetings and best wishes for the success of the Havana Book Fair 2023. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this event. It is an honor.
Merle Hodge was born in 1944 in Trinidad and Tobago. Educated up to secondary level in Trinidad and Tobago, and then at the University of London. Taught at secondary and tertiary levels in the Caribbean. Worked in teacher education in the Grenada Revolution. Publications: 3 novels, some short stories, academic papers, articles in Caribbean and international journals, and a textbook, The Knots in English, a manual for Caribbean users.
One Day, Congotay is set in a fictitious place called Cayeri, largely modeled on the Caribbean colony of Trinidad. The novel is about the struggle for political and cultural sovereignty in the Caribbean during the period leading up to independence. Gwyneth Coffey, the central character, is involved in this struggle. Viola is her sister. In the excerpt I will read, Gwyneth recalls her childhood with a father whose colonial education has left him deeply alienated from himself and his cultural environment. As did many who had access to education in that era, he rejects the culture developed on Caribbean soil by the diverse population of the colony, the First Peoples and the people who came here. He seeks to separate his children from this culture. For example, the Creole languages spoken by the mass of the population, the spiritual traditions brought from Africa, the festivals. This excerpt, set in the late 19th century, relates Gwyneth's experience of Juve, or daybreak, the first phase of the Carnival Festival. In their house, Juve was forbidden fruit. Gwyneth was 9 years old, Viola was 8, and they were living in Corial. Rousing noises in the road, tambour bamboo and tin pans, lusty singing, chanting, shouting, groups of people on the move, adults and children dancing their way through the village, some dressed in ragged clothes or crocus bags, a man wearing a big panty over his trousers and a posham on his head, others dressed up as the governor or his wife or some other lofty personage. And you knew what was coming when you heard the chanting, "Look the devil day," or "Pay the devil," or "Jab molasses look one day." Gwyneth and Viola were as fascinated by the molasses devil as they were afraid of him, even watching from the safety of their bedroom. They stayed in a half-crouching position, their eyes at the level of the windowsill, ducking every time he cracked his whip, until he and the little imps chained to his waist had moved past the house, he dancing scandalously to the rhythm that one of his imps was beating on a pitch oil pan. Papa had laid down the law years before, while they were living in Maureen. On a Juve morning, they were not to even look outside. That, of course, was too much to ask of them. This heady ruction started in the 4-day morning, half dark, while decent people, according to Papa, were still in their beds, so Gwyneth and Viola could risk peeping out from their bedroom window, ready to dart back into their beds if they thought they heard Papa stirring. The two of them looked on with envy as other children got to dance and parade in the road, beating on powdered milk tins with sticks. knocking bamboo on the ground, and singing as boisterously as their big people. A wistfulness would come over Gwyneth as she gazed at these lucky children her age and younger, who held in their heads all the words of these songs and were free to be belting them out to their heart's content. She felt that these children owned something from which she was unjustly barred. Indeed, they were owners of a whole world she wished she could fully enter, because no matter what Papa said, she was convinced that it was hers too. On Juve morning, children would call at the gate, hoping for someone to come out and give them money. That Juve morning, Gwyneth stood at the window with 3 farthings and a cent, her savings, clasped in her fist, and a terrible pounding in her chest. She had made up her mind to dash out and give the coins to the first set of children to come to the gate. Viola nearly suffered a stroke as Gwyneth informed her of the plan, and then in the next minute abruptly left her side, announcing, "I go in and give them." Viola sank to the floor, stuck her fingers in her ears, and closed her eyes. Time seemed to stop. She was just about to pass out from not breathing when Gwyneth hurtled back into the room and flopped down next to her. The 2 of them stayed stock still for a while, fearing that Papa might have heard Gwyneth's movements. But he did not stir. Gwyneth was triumphant. After Papa got up on a Juve morning, they could do no more than sit and listen to the tempting sounds outside. Papa always kept the front door closed until Juve died down under the mid-morning hot sun.
It is the folk song and ballad of that beautiful island of Trinidad.